Hey, so we're going to finish assembling this big block Chevy we've been working on for a while. Tonight we're going to do a valve to piston clearance check. I do one thing a little bit different when I'm checking my valve to piston clearance. So I've already degreed the cam, and we found out that when we installed it straight up on our timing chain set, it was indeed straight up. It was right on the money. When I do my valve to piston clearance here now, I'm going to do it at 4 degrees advance. I'm going to see what my spec is. And then I'm going to redo it again at 4 degrees retard, assemble the engine with the cam straight up. The reason I like to do that is sometimes we're not exactly sure where this engine's going to go. We might want to bump that cam timing around a little bit. So it's good to know. Oh yeah, this is our shop mascot here. It's good to know how much we can move that cam without getting into any valve to piston clearance issues. So let's just do it then. You can take some modeling clay available at any hobby store. One of the things I like to do is I like to make sure the top of my piston is nice and clean. Get the oil wiped off it, a little bit of aerosol, brake clean, whatever. So our clay will stick. And then I want to put a little bit of oil on the valves just so the clay won't stick. Here's the heads we're using. They're all fully assembled. Well, not quite fully. You can see we have some light checker springs in there. You can get them at just about any hardware store, commercial store, anything like that. You might have to cut them down a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to put a little bit of oil on the valves here. It could be anything, WD-40, anything at all. I'll put a little up here on the chamber too, because the clay is going to squish out onto there and we want it to release nicely. The only reason I'm using this, it was the closest thing for me to grab. Put a head gasket on. You can do it without the head gasket. Just alters your dimension by whatever the thickness of your gasket is. I would recommend that you use a gasket just so you don't mar your freshly machined surfaces. And we're going to drop the head on. Okay, so we started to assemble our valve train. We put our 2 new lifters in, lubed them up really good, set them in. We put in our new ComCam Magnum Series push rods. We installed our ComCam push rod guide plates and our new ARP rocker arm studs. We always go with ARP. If you remember when we pulled this one apart, our rocker studs were too short. We weren't getting proper thread engagement. I'll show you that in a bit. So we got 1/4 inch longer studs. Even if they weren't too short, we would have replaced them. Very expensive engine we're building here. We're not going to skimp out on a couple bolts. You'll also recall that this thing had some stainless steel roller rocker arms on them. Unfortunately, they were just a cheap offshore brand, and some of them had started to seize on the fulcrum. I replaced them all. I'm not going to mess around with that. So we tightened down our poly locks. We give it an extra 1/2 turn to 3/4 of a turn to simulate 30 thousandths lifter preload. And we're just going to turn this thing over a bunch. So basically, you just have to turn it over 2 complete revolutions. Now we're going to take it apart. And we're going to measure our clay. Okay, so as you can see, our exhaust is just touching the clay. So we have 280 thousandths on our exhaust. Our intake, we have nowhere near that. And that's not surprising because on a big block Chevy, your exhaust valve's way up in the chamber. We're just going to slice that off. The reason I'm not pulling the whole thing off, the reason I'm slicing it off is in case I damage it, I still have another reference point. There's our intake, piston to valve clearance. We're right at, on our intake, we're right at, I don't know if you can see that, 150 thou. The other thing we really want to watch is I hope you can see that on there. Here is where our valve was, and here's our eyebrow in the piston. So you also want to be very careful that you're not getting close, your valve's not getting close to the edge of the eyebrow. So now, I'm going to do this whole thing all over again after I've moved my camshaft 8 degrees. We're not going to bore you with that. We're just going to go and do look at the rock arm geometry, see where we're at, and then I'll do that, and I'll put all the measurements in the description for you guys.